Hello, everyone. New York Giants training camp day 8 recap. And no, it's not just me here today. You see two people sharing the screen for the first time this year. I'm Josh on your left side. Alex is on your right side. We're here to talk New York Giants training camp because Alex was actually there today. And I'm lying because you did join me for, I think it was Thursday's recap last week where I went. You didn't go, but your first time technically. Second time in the video for this training camp, but first time actually there in person. So before we jump into everything, how was your first day of training camp in 2024, Alex?
I mean, it was very similar to training camp in 2023 and 2022, which I attended a lot of. So from that standpoint, nothing too crazy or different, but excited to be back and was just really itching to get back to training camp and actually see everything with my own eyes rather than through Josh and through Twitter and all that. So it was good, and I'm excited to go again on Sunday. So I'm on a little bit of a roll here with a couple of training camp practices here, Josh. I know you wouldn't really call that a roll. Back to back.
So let's talk about the injuries. Alex, for someone who's new here, either watching or you're Alex right now and you're new here to joining, basically the format I've been doing these recently, I start with the injuries that the Giants have gone through and then practice. So let's go through the injuries first, and then we'll get into the practice. Brian Daboll said that there are no changes on the injury front, except for wide receiver Darius Slayton, who is quote-unquote tight and was backed off from practice today. His workload was also scaled back yesterday, too. He's now going to have the day off to recover on Saturday and hopefully be a full participant back in training camp on Sunday before the Giants' joint practices on Monday and Tuesday of the following week. Dexter Lawrence. Alex, I wanted to ask you this. Did Dexter Lawrence participate in team drills? I know he was in individual drills. I don't remember.
I saw him on one, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
But I don't know if he was playing the normal workload for sure.
So I do kind of agree with that. I mean, I don't remember seeing him in team drills. That's why I have it as a question mark here to ask you that. But yeah, I know that he definitely participated in individual drills, which he did yesterday as well, but still recovering from this illness. And I still think that you're right. Even if he did participate in team drills, it wasn't 100%. And I think that might have been by a large margin. There only might have been a couple of plays that he
probably was a handful,
in. So Dexter Lawrence still working back from this illness, sickness, whatever it is. Gets the day off on Saturday. Hopefully he's back in full on Sunday, or if not, maybe by next week for the joint practices against the Lions. We'll have to wait and see. John Michael Schmitz, he worked on the sideline with a strength coach. This is now the 5th straight practice he's missed with a shoulder injury. The tight ends, they keep getting slimmer as Lawrence Cager has been out, and he's going to be out for a little while. Today at practice, tight end Jack Stoll appeared to suffer a knee injury during practice. Offensive lineman Josh Ezeudu was carted off towards the end of practice during 11s. And then finally, wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie was participating in one-on-one drills. And then in 11s, he was down in pain. Looked like he got kneed in the lower back by Deontay Johnson as they try to avoid a collision on the sideline. We don't really have updates on what happened there. I do remember McKenzie playing a lot. Like, there's obviously no injury prior to that during practice today. So hopefully he's okay and we see him back on Sunday. But honestly, not really much that happened going into training camp today, but it was a lot of injuries happening at the practice itself today. Alex, anything on any of those, or you want to just go straight to practice?
Yeah, I mean, Ezeudu, obviously, it was upsetting to see him get carted off the field. That was the main thing. But yeah, I mean, the injuries, there's always going to be them in training camp. So it's unfortunate, but it's kind of a cycle of camp that happens every year. So it sucks, but hopefully these guys get better, rest up, and are good to go for the season or even closer towards the end of training camp.
So I'll go to Alex for the beginning of practice just because there was one-on-ones happening between offensive line and defensive line. Alex, were there any kind of when I talked to you about it when you came back from watching them, there wasn't really any standouts from those drills?
Yeah, I don't think so. Kayvon, I thought, was a little bit disappointing. That was the only thing. He had a couple of reps against Ezeudu where I was like, he should be winning those easily. And he didn't really win them convincingly, if at all. So that was kind of a little bit concerning on that front. I thought Illuminor looked really good against Brian Burns, which was, a positive sign to see for the potential right tackle for the Giants. And then just Van Roten just being at center was a clear mismatch when he was going up against Dexter Lawrence or even Jordan Riley or anything. It was tough to watch him at that position where he's just not used to it, and it's not really fair to him. So it's not really an indication on his ability rather than the Giants not having a backup center, which is something they desperately need to acquire if John Michael Schmitz is not going to practice, because you're also just wasting valuable reps from Van Roten now, who could potentially be slotting in at right guard or left guard and hopefully making an impact early on in the season and maybe potentially be a starter. So I think that's just a big mishap there from Brian Daboll and this offensive coaching staff.
Yeah, I mentioned it yesterday, kind of an eyes rolling sort of why are we doing this thing? I mentioned at the end of the training camp video that I recorded yesterday, and it still stands today because Van Roten has started another practice at the center spot while John Michael Schmitz misses another training camp practice. I don't know. I have kind of no words for explanation because unfortunately we aren't in the coaching staff room, and so we can't communicate with them. Brian Daboll is not going to tell us, so we're just going to have to kind of wait and see, and hopefully John Michael Schmitz is back sooner than later, and we can see big Greg Van Roten playing in his actual pure natural position as an offensive lineman. Besides that, we don't really have that much from practice today. I know everyone's asking about Daniel Jones and kind of how he looked. He looked fine. Nothing crazy as to what yesterday was. He was really good yesterday. It was his best training camp practice, and nothing like last Thursday where he was terrible. I think he was right in the middle. He did okay. He hit some spots. He missed some throws. Just a normal day at training camp for Daniel Jones, although one of his pass catchers and Malik Nabers, he had a really fun day for himself. In one-on-ones between wide receivers and cornerbacks, it was him and Deonte Banks, which is the first-round pick versus first-round pick matchup that we've all been wanting to see throughout training camp. And it lived up to the expectations. Both guys were competing hard, but Malik Nabers on back-to-back plays was getting the better of Banks. And, one of those plays for us that we posted went really went viral. I don't know if you've seen it. I'll put it in this video, obviously, while I'm talking over it. It was a play where it was thrown to Nabers off the sideline. He kind of does a hook and curl and gets a toe tap right on the sideline. A beautiful, beautiful route by Malik Nabers. He also gets a touchdown. I think got a couple touchdowns during 11-on-11 reps. Good cuts. He's fluid. He's versatile. He's in motion a lot of the time. He's going to be a very good receiver, I think, in the NFL. Obviously, a little biased there, but Malik Nabers, he looked really well. Looked really good in training camp today. And then Alex, you can obviously make a comment on Nabers if you want to. If not, the one other thing we have is the O-line struggles today at training camp.
Yeah, I mean, Nabers looked fantastic, but he's looked fantastic pretty much every day of practice. I guess wrapping up with the O-line, we talked a little bit about the issues at center there. The backup tackle spots aren't super great either. Azudu didn't look great before he went down with injury, and really he's being so unfairly treated by being put at tackle when he is so much better at guard and really has potential to develop nicely at guard, yet they're really wasting that opportunity. So that's really upsetting to see as someone who was a big fan of him, immediately after we drafted him. And, some of the other guys, there's a little bit of a lack of cohesion, which is to be expected when you bring in so many new pieces. So that was always going to happen, but it's a little disheartening to see, defensive linemen in the backfield within 1 second on every single 11-on-11 rep. So hopefully it'll get better with some additions with JMS coming back, hopefully a more cohesive unit, more solid, lineup that's staying consistent throughout training camp and into the season will be helpful as well. But yeah, a little frustrating to watch, but I think there's definitely positive signs as well as the negatives that we saw today.
All right, so that's going to do it for our recap of Day 8 of New York Giants training camp. If you like that video, give it a thumbs up down below. Hit that subscribe button. And obviously, I've been saying it every video, but I really mean it. We are having some great coverage over on our social media channels of these training camp practices. You do not want to miss it. It's in that bottom left corner at the Giant Take Pod, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram. Definitely make sure to follow those platforms if you want updates of videos, pictures, all that stuff. I've been getting it. Alex was there today joining me. So we'll be back on Sunday, and it'll be fun. But thanks so much for watching this video. We'll see you next time. Peace.